Dear writer, you need to quit. This is the show that helps you know what to quit, what to keep, and what to question. My name is Becca Syme. I'm a Gallup certified strengths coach with thousands of hours coaching 6- and 7-figure authors, mid-listers, major award winners, and new authors alike. Because everyone needs to quit something. Anyone can tell you what worked for them. And of course, they say it might not work for you, but they can't tell you why. I can tell you why. Welcome to the QuitCast. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the very first episode of the QuitCast. I'm Becca, and you might know me from the Smarty Pants Author podcast or from the Write Better Faster classes. You may have seen me speak in person or read one of my books. I hope you're not here for nefarious reasons, but if you are, I'm just going to say welcome anyway, because, it takes all kinds. But I hope that you're here because you're interested in hearing more about what to quit, what to keep, and what to question. And that's definitely what we're going to talk about here in this podcast, this video podcast. And so without further ado, we're going to jump right in to the Q word, as I have now taken to calling the word quit. When I first told a friend that I was going to call my book, Dear Writer, You Need to Quit, she looked horrified at me and said, in marketing, the Q word, that's basically the F word. You can't say quit. It has such a negative connotation. And I was like, well, maybe it shouldn't. Maybe we should question the premise of whether quit is a negative thing or not. We tend to think of quitting universally, I think, in this culture as being negative, but strategic quitting is the best thing sometimes. There's value in quitting the right stuff, in other words. But of course, if you've heard about the Dear Writer, You Need to Quit book, yeah, that sounds a little inflammatory. I'm not telling everyone to quit writing. So if you're here to roast me about that, it's okay. I promise I'm not trying to get a whole bunch of people to quit writing necessarily, unless that's what they want to do. And then I want to give them permission to do that. Because you know what? If you want to quit, you should have permission to do that if it's just eating your life the way that it is for some of the people that I coach right now. And so the Dear Writer, You Need to Quit book and should you quit writing and all that stuff, that's a different topic. We're not going to talk about that in this particular podcast. I'm assuming that if you're here right now, that you are here for the right reasons, that you want to keep writing, but you want to know if there's some stuff that you can quit doing that will help you be a better writer or a better marketer. And so that's definitely what we're here to talk about today. So I'm going to assume that we all need to quit something. Whatever that something is, we'll talk about, but I want to drill down specifically into quitting one thing. And so stop me if you've heard this story. Well, I mean, don't stop me because I need you to watch all the way until the end, right? But stop me if you've heard this story because you will have. So you have a problem. You take a class or you have heard about some guru or productivity person who teaches a system about this particular problem that you're having. So you take it. And you learn the whole system and you have plans. You make lists, you might even make a spreadsheet, you might make big tracker counter things, and you're all ready to go. And then you start to execute and you don't make it very far. You make it a couple weeks in, maybe a month in. I mean, maybe you make it 2 or 3 months in, but something eventually happens and you stop using the system. 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years, I don't care when, but you stop using the system and then you stop and you just stop using it. You think, I'm stupid, there's something wrong with me, I'm an idiot. Clearly, I don't know the system as well as I thought I did. And I'm gonna stop because I'm dumb. And what you think to yourself then after that is you need a simpler version of the magic system. So you need you need clearer steps, you need easier things, you need better metaphors, whatever it is you think you need something, but you still think that this magic system somehow is going to work. So let's break down the game tape. What went wrong here, right? What went wrong is you assumed the system was magic. You assumed there was something about this productivity guru system that should work on you, and it didn't. And instead of asking, why didn't it work? Or, hey, maybe there's not something wrong with me, maybe there's something wrong with something else, You just assume there's something wrong with you, and then you start looking for more system. And then it's rinse, lather, repeat with this stuff, right? It's 1,000 different ways to fail at being more productive as a writer. And meanwhile, every single time you try to be more productive, you try to write faster, you try to write 12 books a year, and you can't, and then you end up feeling like a complete failure. And I cannot tell you how many times I see this in my coaching and in my classes. But the problem is we don't realize there is no such thing, zero things as there's no foolproof system. It does not exist. It works for absolutely everyone who tries it. That is not possible. Anybody who tells you that just hasn't gotten enough negative feedback about their system yet. Because I guarantee you, if there's a system out there, and I've seen all of them, I'll give you a list of people that it didn't work for. And I can usually tell you why it didn't work for them and then give you another list of the things that ended up working for them, right? Because that's what I do. Like, that's what my Write Better, Faster classes are all about. But there's no such thing as a foolproof system that works for everyone. And it's because it's not this system that is magic. In this case, it's not the particular way that a person thought about something or how they say things. It is literally only the alignment of the system and the person who's executing it. And so if there is no magic system, then I'm assuming that you're going to be wondering, well, what's the point, right? The point is we need to understand better what it really means to be successful. How do you get to success? What does success look like, right? My background is in success coaching. So what does success coaching really look like? I give people the ability to make better choices because I help them know themselves better. I help them understand the problems better. I help them know their why better. That's the whole point of success alignment. I want people to be able to be better decision makers for themselves because I don't want to take responsibility for anybody's choices. I want to give them more power so they can long-term make their own choices and make better ones that are better aligned for themselves. So part of making better choices then is knowing how to make yourself successful. And so there are 4 different actions that can produce success, and they're active things that you do because there are these 4 very distinct and separate actions that you take in order to produce success in yourself. So the first one, and I feel like we do 3 of these really well, both in coaching and coaching writers, in self-help, in business management. I feel like there are 3 of these things that we really are excellent at, and then one that we're not. And so there are 3, the 3 that we do well, I think, are number 1 is visioning. And that is vision casting. It's seeing the future, knowing what you want, seeing your goal, being able to articulate what it looks like that you want to have happen. So that's vision casting or visioning. And then the second one I think we do well is strategizing. That is breaking the vision down into, steps and seeing roadblocks in the way of what could be happening and how we could get there. So strategizing is, and of course, think of chess. It's the thinking ahead and seeing how we're going to make this happen. And then the third one I think we do really well is motivating. And motivating is, the finding it inside yourself. How do you get yourself to do something? How are you motivated? Like, I think those 3 things, visioning, strategizing, and motivating, we do exceptionally well in the self-help, business coaching, writing coaching, etc. community. I think we do awesome at those. There's a ton of people with good systems out there. The one that I think we miss the most often is aligning, right? We talked about alignment earlier. I'm big into alignment because I see that it's the one thing that is consistently missing when people are not having success and they don't understand why. They can't see that there needs to be symmetry. There needs to be symmetry between you, yourself, and your system. So they have to be built for each other. And that's what the alignment is about, right? There needs to be symmetry between your purpose, your personality, your platform, your capacity, your strategy, your motivation, and your goals. So there has to be symmetry between all of these things so that we're not expending energy trying to bring things into alignment that won't actually go into alignment, because you need that alignment in order to be successful. It's one of the 4 bedrocks of success. So if I say to you, you need to be better aligned, what I'm talking about is if you have something that would be great for this type of person and then this particular type of platform, and you're trying to execute it because you're this kind of person, but then the platform won't support it, and so you can't do it, it will fail, right? But if you can get the right kind of strategy that takes into account the personality, the platform, the motivation, the capacity, the selflessness, and all these different things, right? Then you all of a sudden it's firing on all the cylinders. So that's what you want the alignment to look like. And this is the biggest place that I see we are blind about this. Like, a lot of us are just completely blind. It's like the 4th wall in television, right? Like when the TV comedy is happening in front of you on the screen, the players in the actors are not aware that you're watching them. So they're not ever looking directly at the camera, because then they would be acknowledging that you're there. And so they're making a play happen in front of the audience and not acknowledging the audience. That's called the 4th wall. When someone looks into the camera, and there are several shows that do this really well. The one I always think of is House of Cards, where you look into the camera and now you start talking to the audience, then you're breaking the 4th wall. So we're shattering that illusion that I'm watching you and you don't know it. No, now I know it. And so I've broken the 4th wall. I feel like alignment is sort of the 4th wall of success, because we're not constantly aware and looking at it. And then we end up making decisions that put ourselves out of alignment. And then we keep trying to expend all this energy getting back into alignment. And we don't understand why it's taking more time to make things happen. We're so tired, we're failing on an epic scale, and we're not looking at alignment. So this is what I do. I draw attention to alignment. It's my thing. And I do it in a variety of ways. But one of the biggest ones that I do is to try to help us understand how to question certain premises, things that we have accepted that we don't know we have accepted. Like if I ask you if you want chicken or fish for dinner and you answer the question, well, you've just accepted the premise that you need to eat dinner. And maybe you don't need to eat dinner. Maybe you're not hungry. Maybe you had a late lunch, blah, 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 like all those things. But when you answer the question, you've accepted the premise. And part of what I want to do in alignment is to help us question some of these premises that we're just not looking at, we're not aware of. And so that's going to happen in later podcasts. But what I want to talk about alignment today is specifically, if I could get you to quit one thing that would make you better aligned, it would be, and I would say drum roll, but we're not that high tech right now. So imagine a drum roll in your head. Assuming systems are magic. I want you to quit assuming that systems are what produce success. Systems don't produce success. Alignment produces success. Vision, strategy, motivation, and alignment. Those 4 things together produce success. But most people can get vision, strategy, and motivation right, and they're missing their alignment. And so that's the big thing that I would like for us to think about today, is quitting thinking that systems produce success. Systems are magic. Because when we assume that the system is magic, then we fix the wrong problem. We try to fix something about ourselves or our personality instead of trying to fix our alignment. And so if you assume that the system is right and then it doesn't work, then what do you assume? You assume that you're wrong, right? That there's something wrong with you, that you're broken, you're lazy, you can't make this happen. Just on a side note, rarely is the problem for someone's failure that they're actually just lazy. There's usually a plethora of different reasons why things happen, why things fail. But we're so quick to go to that place where we think there's something wrong with me and I'm so lazy and horrible, because those messages have been helpful for us in the past. And thank you so much, old me, for thinking those things when they were helpful, but now they're not helpful anymore. So we want to start not listening to those messages. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not broken. We need to find your alignment, right? That's what we're going to do over the course of this podcast. And I don't know how long it's going to last, I guess maybe until we run out of topics to talk about, which, maybe infinity, who knows. But my whole purpose in doing this is to help deliver some content to help you fix the alignment in your system. So we're going to talk about what to quit, what to keep, and what to question, right? So 2 things really quickly before we finish this episode. Don't flip the pendulum all the way to the other side. So if I say it's not you, you're not broken, that's not the problem. We don't want to flip the pendulum to, well, clearly this productivity guru is an idiot and they shouldn't be teaching the system and they're so dumb and why are they making this? No. I can tell you almost without a doubt that if you look at any system that anyone teaches, every teacher that I've ever met, every class I've ever taken, every book I've ever read on this, almost all of them say, this may not work for you, right? They know that it's not going to work for everybody. They may not know why. They may not understand why their system works for them, but they know that it won't work for everybody because they've seen the results. And anybody who doesn't think there are people their system doesn't work for is delusional. I mean, it's just the bottom line. Because if you, like I said before, if you give me a list of systems, I can give you a list of really talented, great people that system didn't work for. And it's not because they're bad or there's something wrong with them. It's because they're just not wired right to use that system. So don't flip to the other side of the pendulum and blame the people who are teaching the classes or writing the books. It's not their fault. You have to be the decision maker, right? Like you need to know yourself well enough, your system, yourself, your platform, your personality, your priorities. You need to understand these things so that you can be a better decision maker when someone says, hey, I've got this shiny new system. And you could say, you know what? That doesn't work for me because X, Y, and Z. So we want to make you a better decision maker. And that's my hope throughout the course of this podcast that we'll be able to do that. So the other thing I want to say before we close is that I promise not all of these videos are going to be about quitting. Because I know that some of you out there, it feels like a lot of negative energy, quit. So I promise not all the videos on the QuitCast are going to be about quitting. We're going to talk about keeping some things. We're actually going to talk about keeping quite a bit. My goal for the podcast is to talk about keeping at least half the time, if not more. Given the outline for the year, it probably will be more than 50% of what do you want to keep doing, because these are good things about you. So don't worry if you're worried. Not all of these things will be about what to quit. But I'm assuming that there are things that all of us need to quit. And that's the reason that I'm doing this video podcast, even to begin with. I want to help us think about what are the good things to keep doing, what are the things that don't fit that we need to quit doing, and then what are the premises that we need to question. Those are the 3 big things that I want to talk about. So if you're going to keep writing, you're not going to quit, which I'm assuming you are if you're here, then I want you to be a better decision maker and a better writer. And of course, a better, faster writer, but we'll get to that a little bit later. But for now, I just want to say thank you so much for watching and listening to the QuitCast. This whole process has been so much fun for me. And thank you to everybody who encouraged me to do this. I'm going to have a lot of fun. I've lined out all the coming weeks. I think they're going to be awesome. And if you have a chance, I hope that you will like this video or comment or honestly dislike if that's your thing. Like I said, it takes all kinds. I'm happy, whatever you want to do. And I hope that you'll subscribe to follow the videos or follow the podcast, because I really would love to get to talk to you. And I'd love especially if you're here for the first time, I'd like to be able to say hi to you. And if you want to know more about me, you can check out my website. It'll be in the show notes. You can also check out my Patreon page, which will also be in the show notes. And then if you want to support the work that I do, both here and in the books and the courses, there's lots of ways to do that. So I look forward to connecting with you further. And thank you again for watching and listening. I hope it was helpful. And I'll see you in the next QuitCast.